On today's episode, we talk about how I ate shit snowboarding and why I'm wiggling in my chair, and also how I'm able to snowboard every Wednesday, only work 4 days a week for a total of about 20 hours, and still consistently build 6 and 7 figures in income, and how you can do the same with our TSR method. So I'm going to shut up now because I actually loved this episode. I just finished recording it, and it is just me, you, and all the content, and I can't wait for you to listen to it. So now let's cue the episode. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Mind of George show. If you're watching this on video, I'm in my Montana office. The walls are blank behind me because I am still playing home decorating roulette, and I'm moving everything as I figure out where things go, and lighting and sound and all of it. And I'm pretty much obsessed with it. And I think it's an important note about how much time I have spent just moving desks, because I've been able to spend that time doing that because I'm able to get my work done very efficiently in a short amount of time with what I'm going to cover today, so that I can go play and do the things that I want. And so I'm sitting here reflecting, and I was asked by my team and a few other people to record a podcast on how to basically easily and effectively scale to your first 5 figures, 6 figures, or even 7 figures. And recently, my team and I sat down. Over the course of maybe 2 months, we ironed out with some of my mentors, some of my teachers, some of the people that have been in my world, students of mine, mastermind members of my team. And we distilled down what are the 9 steps or 9 areas of focus that are required to easily scale to your first 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures, and beyond. And we identified this model, we made this model, and it's been really, really refreshing and also eye-opening to me, because in making this model, it's forced me back into an area of focus in my own business. And our business is great, our mastermind great, my consulting is great, all of that is great. And it's been really interesting since I started teaching this model a couple of weeks ago, what's happened in my life. And I say this because before we moved to Montana and before I started teaching this model, I was spending every day working, somewhere between from 7:30 a.m. until, I don't know, let's say 5 p.m. with a couple, small breaks in between. And I was working 6 days a week. And since living in Montana, it's kind of put some pressure on in adjusting to a lifestyle. We have a long commute because we're still in temporary housing. And Parkinson's law means I'm going to fill whatever container I create. And now I also have a separate office outside of my house, and I have a rule that my laptop stays in the office. I can have my iPad and iPhone at home, but I'm one of those people that has to work on a laptop. Like, I can read stuff on my iPad, but I can't work. I can't have multiple windows open and a mouse, and I really thrive on actually having my computer. And so I started teaching this model a couple of weeks ago, and it's really interesting looking back in retrospect now, because since I started teaching this model, I'm only working 4 days a week. I'm working less than 6 hours a day, and I'm working out again, spending 3 days out of my 7 days with my family, either supporting them, doing stuff around the house, doing activities. Wednesdays are now board meeting Wednesdays. So my wife and my daughter and I have quote unquote board meetings where we go snowboarding all day Wednesday. And I just realized as I hit record on this episode that it came from the day I started teaching the TSR method. And the TSR method is something that I have used since I started as a consultant and a digital marketing strategist 5 years ago without identifying what it was. And because I didn't identify it, I would get off the rails. I would lose focus. I would get distracted. But since teaching it, I've worked probably 50% less than I was. I'm probably 60 to 70% more effective. Money is flowing. I'm happy. I've reprioritized my health. I've fallen back in love with my priorities, and it's created a whole lot of awareness. and especially a whole lot of boredom to where now I'm just reorganizing my office a whole lot and snowboarding a whole lot and taking a really big digger on the mountain yesterday. And so today, to summarize, I'm going to be teaching you and going over the TSR method. And the TSR method, in my opinion, is the easiest way to build and scale to 5 figures, 6 figures, and 7 figures and beyond. And I now have friends, and myself included, that utilize this that are in the multiple 7-figure range and even 1 or 2 in the 8-figure range that still utilize just this model. And so I'm going to be sharing this with you because this is what I'm going to be teaching at the event in Montana, which if you have not gotten your tickets yet, get them. Go to mindofgeorge.com. And if it's previous to the event, it's right there on the homepage. If it's post-event, you got to get tickets for the next one or join our Lighthouse Business Accelerator. But this is why I'm going to be teaching this in depth over 3 days in Montana, because this is the secret. And I say it's the secret because the secret is consistency with intention and clarity. The secret is consistency with intention and clarity. And what I've seen in entrepreneurship, myself included, is that for years, I would know the 1 to 2 things a day that I had to get done, but then I would spend time throwing spaghetti at the wall 45, 50, 60 times a day, thinking that 1 or 2 of them would stick, and then I'd find one that stuck, and then I would add it to my list tomorrow, and then I would do that and repeat the process at every level of success. My first 5-figure month, my first 6-figure month, my first 6-figure deal, my first $1 million. It was always the same. And it was like I would give myself a little bit of clarity, but I wouldn't get the rest of it. And then I would basically flounder. And why I floundered is for a whole nother episode or something we talk about in person. Maybe I'll do an episode on it. But I think it's really important to remember that the only secrets, quote unquote, secrets to success or secrets to your first $1,000, $10,000, $100,000, $1 million isn't because there's a secret. It's because there's clarity that's executed with high energy and high intention consistently until it happens. No different than if you've never run before in your life and you make a goal of running 5 miles unbroken. There are a lot of different ways to train and a lot of different ways to eat and recover, but at the end of the day, what's going to really get you moving the needle is running. And running and running and running and increasing that and doing it consistently over a period of time that's sustained, where the end result is the result that you're looking for. And so when I think about how we made this TSR method for you, how we made this TSR method to teach because it's what we do, it is basically lacing up your running shoes and hitting the pavement every day with 9 really clear areas that you're supposed to be in, knowing that if you consistently do it with a high level of intention and a high level of energy, that's where success comes. Now, is it $1 million overnight? Maybe, maybe not. Is it 10 grand overnight? Maybe, maybe not. None of that is predictable, but the inputs are always predictable. And this is the game of entrepreneurship and business. If you've never run before and your goal is to run an 8-minute mile, you might be able to do it in a month, or it might take you 3, or it might take you 6. But I guarantee you, if you continually practice and pay attention and measure against your clarity, you will get there if you really want to get there. And so we're going to talk about the TSR method. And if you're watching this on video, you see me squirming in my chair, just for a good laugh for you. I'm 37 or 38 years old, and I've been snowboarding for 20 years-ish. And it took like a 6-year break, and I started snowboarding again when we got here. And I feel young being in the park with all the kids that are like 14 and 20 and flipping and spinning, and me being able to go off the same jumps and hit the same rails and kind of play. Well, I got a little cocky the other day on my last run, and I was showing my friend how to do a 50-50 grind on a box with like a nose grind, and I lost a little bit of awareness, and the tip of my board caught in the metal edge of one of the boxes, and so I flipped. My oblique hit the box and my head rattled a little bit on the snow. And so I'm just reminded that I'm not 15 or 20 anymore, but I'm happy and I'm alive. So you can have a little giggle that you can imagine me, flipping, spinning, and then eating crap. And it was fun. I laughed about it, got up. And of course, it was on my last run. And then I came to the office to work. So let's talk about the TSR method. So what's the TSR method? TSR stands for time, sales, and retention. And so the foundation of your success comes down to your ability to know where you spend your time and then where you have to spend it. Once you know your time, how you generate the right sales, and then once you make those sales, how you retain those customers and turn them into lifelong customers and a referral machine. And so your focus as an entrepreneur, and I don't care what type of entrepreneur you are, a course, a coach, a consultant, an e-commerce brand, a B2B, a B2C, it does not matter. This works. And so when we think about time, time is broken down into 3 areas. Area number 1 is clarity. Area number 2 is needle movers. And area number 3 is containers. And so when we say clarity, clarity is you being able to really clearly identify who you are, who you serve, how you serve them, where you're going, what you have, what you're doing, what's working, and what's not. And so in order for you to have clarity of your time, you have to know where you're spending your time to have an audit of what you have available. And then you have to have a very clear picture of where you should be spending your time based on those inputs. Because you have to know who you are. You have to know who you serve and how you serve them so you can go meet them where they are on what we would call Hell Island, as my copywriter Alex calls it, Hell Island, and they'll meet them to drive them over the bridge to Heaven Island. And so the first part of the time section is having clarity. Once you have clarity of your vision, where you want to go, how you're going to help people get there, where you currently are, then you move into your needle movers. And your needle movers are your superpower. These are the 3 to 5 things that you are the best in the world at doing, that nobody else in your business, organization, or anybody that you hire could do it as well as you. These are your needle movers. These are the things that every day when you pay attention to them, you give them your energy for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, that they have a tangible and measurable positive result both on you and the business. These 3 to 5 needle movers are the things that lace up your running shoes and get you hitting the pavement. They are your run, they are your recovery, your stretching, you putting on the right running shoes, drinking the right amount of water, and getting coaching from your coach. Like these needle movers, they're your superpowers. Mike McCallum would call them, they're your queen bee roll. As Bo Eason would say, it's your A game. Right? If you're like, I'm a professional football player, well, what's your position? You're like, I'm a wide receiver. So one of your needle movers is being a wide receiver. And so once in your time section, you have clarity on where you spend your time, then you move into your needle movers and you identify what are those 3 to 5 needle movers that only I can do and I can do better than everybody else. They're not something I want to outsource like I am the expert. You identify those and you move into the third area, which is containers. And containers are how you protect those needle movers. Needle movers can also be called non-negotiables. And containers is when you learn how to build in your schedule and your time to protect those non-negotiables. So they are in your daily, weekly, monthly calendar to protect them and ensure your success. To make sure that if you have to run every day for 30 days to achieve your goal, that these containers allow you to run before anything else to guarantee your success. And so that's the time section of the TSR method. Time. Number 1, clarity. Number 2, needle movers. And number 3, containers. You identify where you spend your time and where you need to. You identify your needle movers, and then you build containers around them to protect them. Once you are clear on that, you move into the S, which is sales. And sales is really, really fun for me, because sales is where the rubber meets the road. Like sales are where we spend our time, we get excited. Like everybody loves selling, right? Everybody loves selling. And so in our TSR method, we have our 3-step visibility and marketing strategy. Why is this so powerful? Because it attracts pre-sold customers and will help you easily scale to 5 figures, 6 figures, and sometimes even 7 figures in only 20 hours a week, because that's how many hours I actually work. And so I'm speaking from experience that you can generate 7 figures in revenue working 20 hours a week. No joke, that's all it is. And so when you think about the sales section, the S in the TSR, sales is broken down into attention, context, and customer journey. Now, what is attention? Attention is you being able to stop your ideal customers dead in their tracks and get them to see and hear what you have to say. How do you do this? This is by understanding, going all the way back to the time section, taking that clarity of who you are, what you do, how you serve them, and who your customer are, and then applying it into the traffic tripod. Applying it into the earned traffic, owned traffic, and paid traffic to have a strategy to implement into your business. And so sales, attention is making sure that if you're using the lighthouse analogy that I teach all the time, that you're shining your light out of your lighthouse and the right people are catching it. The right people are catching it. And so attention is you basically shining your light out, being in action with all that clarity and those needle movers and putting it into the world. And once you are clear that you are doing that and you're getting the attention, well, now context comes in. And context is the most neglected, but also the most important part, right? I watch people get a whole lot of the wrong attention. I watch people hoard potential and hoard attention thinking that eventually some of these people are going to buy their products. But instead, they get these potential customers that are on their door being like, oh, it's too expensive, or I don't know if I'm ready, or I don't know. And they're met with resistance and resistance and resistance. And here's what I'll tell you. It doesn't matter what your product is. It doesn't matter what your offer is. If you don't have a line of people salivating over what you have to offer and excited to pay you and thinking that you're getting in the way of them doing it fast enough, then you haven't built the right context for your offer or your messaging. And so context is enrolling your best customers into what you have to offer and get them salivating over it. So this is having very crystal clear messaging, a crystal clear story, and then consistency and congruency over and over and over. Here's a secret. Cat memes won't get you content. Posting viral videos will get you the wrong attention. Attention is not always the right currency. Now, yes, could you have a video go viral and get 7 million views, and of those 7 million views, 50 of them happen to be somebody that you would like to work with and 20 of them buy? Yeah. Chances 1 in a billion. Most of the time, you'll see that when you're getting all of this attention for humor or when sex sells on social or for memes or for controversy, and it's not consistent and congruent to who you are and who you serve, it doesn't end well. And I always find that story of that one influencer. I'll never forget this, and I don't remember her name, but you can Google it. She had like 2 million Instagram followers and like a very, very engaged audience, but they were engaging in her content that she was posting. And so she went to launch a t-shirt company basically. And the company had like a minimum of 36 sales in order for it to be printed. And out of the 2 million followers and the thousands of comments she got on every post, she didn't even manage to sell 36 t-shirts. Why? Because that isn't who she was and who she was serving. And so all the attention, that quote unquote attention currency that she collected was not the fit for what she really wanted to do. And so in the sales section of the method, step number 1 is attention. Step number 2 is context. And then step number 3 is customer journey. And customer journey is once you have the attention and the context, i.e. the right customers pre-sold, ready to go, you lead them forward in the next steps of their journey. And that is a very, very important step because your customers can't get to where they need to go if you don't know where they need to go before they get there. Whether you have a physical product, and it's a supplement. If you sell a supplement and you don't have a journey designed to help them use it, overcome objections, get them into best habits, you have not thought about your customer journey. If you have a sales program or a course and you don't have it set up to where they're prepared to take the course, well, it just became shelf help and they can't turn around and refer customers to you. Customer journey is the most important secret of any single business that exists in the world. And if you don't think it exists, look at a grocery store. Do you think grocery stores are laid out accidentally? No, they're laid out intentionally. Think about restaurants. When you sit there with the hostess, you're not ignored. You're guided and led to your table. You're given your water. You're given your menu. They have an amount of time to come to the table. They know how to upsell specials. They know how to offer desserts and when to do it. They know when to come to the table and not come to the table. And have you ever noticed that they always come ask you how your food is when you're biting and chewing it so you can only give a noise or a one-word response? It's probably so you can't say anything negative. I'm not joking. Like, I notice this all the time. They always ask when I have a bite of food in my mouth, like, how is it? I'm like, it's good, thank you. And then I'm like, oh, it's good. Every single thing is intentional, and everything in your business has to be intentional and centered around that customer achieving the result that was promised. And so from the TSR method, the T is time, the S is sales, and then the third section, the R, my favorite section, is retention. And retention is the secret to building a successful business. There's no business that's been successful when it has an entire pipeline of customers. They get in and they're like, I hated this, I quit, I got a refund, I'm going to refer my friends, boom, 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 boom. No. Any successful business is built on the back of its existing customers. 93% of marketing is word of mouth. People share when they have positive experiences, and they become walking billboards and testimonials regardless of the product, the service, or the offer. And so retention is broken down into 3 sections. Section number 1 is fulfillment. Section number 2 is communication. And section number 3 is asks. And so section number 1, fulfillment. I cannot believe I have to say this, but the most important thing or focus about retention is creating a world-class customer experience. A world-class, like I mean white glove customer experience that gets your clients top-notch results. If you have not thought through how to get every single one of your customers the result that was promised or deliver a world-class experience, then you have more depth to be had and you have more money waiting on the table because those people will refer you until the cows come home. So fulfillment is making sure that your customer achieves the after state that you promised. This could even be with a lead magnet. I'm going to help you lose 5 pounds in 7 days. Well, if you haven't done everything in your power to make sure the very last person of those 100 people or 1,000 people that opted in achieve that goal, there's a hole in your game and it must be plugged. And so when you think about fulfillment, fulfillment is ensuring that if this is what I promised and they gave me something in exchange, they gave me their email, their attention, or their credit card, my job is not done until they have achieved, or I've done everything in my power for them to achieve the promised result that I made. Your job as a business owner is not complete when somebody buys. Your job starts when somebody buys, and your job is complete when they have achieved the promised result. Think about it as a personal trainer. If somebody came into a gym and they hired a personal trainer and the personal trainer didn't own their outcome or own their results, that person would never remain a client. If the personal trainer was like, oh, it's your fault or you should have known, they would never have a business. Every business that exists in this world, the success is predicated on people actually achieving the desired outcome and that becoming the testimonial. That's how word of mouth marketing works. That's how referral-based businesses work. And all it takes is a little bit of foresight, empathy, and intention to create that world-class customer experience. So fulfillment is actually fulfilling on the thing that we promised. The next section, communication. Communication is building a two-way relationship with your customers, not a one-way dictatorship. Your customers, the one that have bought your product or bought your service or bought your offer, are the cheat codes to your business succeeding. They will tell you everything. What worked, what didn't work, what's missing, what's getting in the way, what objections they're having, what words they respond to, who this product or service is for, what gets in the way, how fast they can achieve it, what they need more of. Like, they literally are the cheat code to your business succeeding. And when somebody is in the fulfillment stage of your business and you're in the communication stage or knowing that this is an important part of your business, you have to give every opportunity for every one of your team members to be in as many touch points in a relationship with your customers as possible. Getting on the phone with them, DMing them, following up with them, following their journey, asking about their experience. Like, literally, this is the secret. The more time, energy, and intention you can spend being in a two-way communicative relationship with your customers who are using your product, the faster I guarantee you that your business succeeds. And so that's the communication section. And then the third and final section of the retention section is asks. And asks is the secret sauce. This is utilizing your best customers that have achieved a result to become your walking billboards, to do your marketing for them, for you, and to be your biggest advocates. And it has to be done intentionally to build an effective relationship. And so when you think about the TSR method, T, time. Get clarity on where you spend it, who you are, what you do. And then needle movers. What are those 3 to 5 non-negotiables that you need to do every day? Build containers around them. Sales. How do I get the attention of the right customers and keep them in a container with context that serves them and moves them closer and fills them into a customer journey? And then retention. Fulfillment, communication, and asks. Now, this was 25 minutes of me talking about it, so probably 20 minutes of me talking about it, and I'm talking about it at a very high level because I'm going to be teaching you this. I'm going to be teaching you this at our event and over the coming weeks and months, so just listen for more information. I'll be tossing it in the intros, outros. We'll be posting all of it on our Facebook group if you're not there yet, but I say this because this is the only place you need to focus. These are the only things that you need to focus on, and you can hand me any business. 5-figure business, 6-figure business, 7-figure business, 8-figure business, and I will show you how the core of their business all boils down to one of these areas. That's it. And my biggest struggle as an entrepreneur for years was not having a roadmap and not having a blueprint. And full disclosure, it took me 11 years of doing this to have this level of clarity. And I've been doing this the whole time, except I wasn't just doing this. I was wasting time in other places and elsewhere and expecting this result. This is the secret, and this is all you need. You need to know your time, you need to know your sales, and you need to know your retention, which is why we called it the TSR Method. And within those, when you nail those areas and all you do and focus on them, your success is inevitable. And then you focus on the variables that you can control, which is what your intention to achieve that result is and how much energy you put forth into achieving it. Because we all know that we can all go work out, but we all get drastically different results based on the clarity of our goal, i.e. our intention, and the amount of energy and effort that we put into that workout consistently over time. And once you identify this, you have a very clear roadmap and picture that gives you a tangible result and measure of your intention and your energy and gives you clarity on how to shift it and focus it so you can achieve your desired goal no matter what your business, no matter what the industry, no matter who your customers are, no matter what. This levels the field because this is the quote unquote secret. And so that is our TSR method. And so I'm assuming if you're listening to this, it's most likely before our event in Montana at the end of April of 2021. And if you are listening to this and you don't have a ticket yet, go to mindofgeorge.com right now and get a ticket. If you're listening to this after, go to mindofgeorge.com and check for the next event because this is my home. We are taking over Montana, and I'm going to be teaching this until the cows come home or until every single one of you has all of your dreams. 6-figure business, 7-figure business. I will do this on repeat over and over and over. I might end up doing an event a month just to have you out here because this is what I needed 11 years ago, and this is what I have every single day now, and I want to give it back, and Montana's my home. So I'm not leaving. I want to bring all of you here because this place is heaven, and it's just perfect. And so this is what I'm going to be covering. But I want all of you to keep your eyes peeled. Make sure you're in the Facebook group. Make sure you're listening to this podcast. We have a little bit of a structure change to this show coming up to better serve you in the future. Make sure you keep your eyes peeled in our Facebook group for announcements because I'm going to be helping you go deep with this model and method for your business based on where you are and your level of commitment into our world. And so if you're in our Facebook group, we'll be talking about it. If you join our monthly coaching program, I'll help you a little bit deeper with 2 to 3 calls a month. Of course, you are always welcome in my mastermind when we talk about this literally every single week and multiple times a week. And you can come to the events, but I want you to keep your eyes peeled because if you're listening to this, this can benefit you. If you're listening to this, this applies to you. If you're listening to this, I want you to keep focusing on this. Listen to this to repeat. Where am I spending my time? Am I that clear in my sales? And am I really delivering that experience in my retention? And lean in for support as you need it. But that is what I wanted to talk about today. And so thanks for listening to another episode of The Mind of George Show. I'm going to cue the outro in a minute, but remember, relationships always beat algorithms, and I will either see you in the next episode or you will hear me in your earballs. But either way, it's time to cue the outro.